Justin, you all set?
Yep.
Cool.
We're good.
I'm good,
We're
too.
on.
All right, guys, what is going on? Another episode of the Growth by Shawn podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Swan's Nutrition Corner, since we're doing it in the back. So, I'm here with Craig LeBeau. Craig, what's up, brother?
How you doing, man?
And so far, so good.
Yeah.
So, Craig is the host of the Real Grit podcast. Yeah, got it?
That's right.
Beautiful. Why don't you just give us the elevator pitch of a little bit about who you are, what you do right now, and then we'll go from there.
So how deep do you want me to go into this? You want me to go into my background, or just you want me to talk just podcast stuff?
No, you can do as you please.
Okay.
Yeah. Open forum.
All right, so I am happily married, father of 2 young boys. My journey into this space started in entrepreneurship. So me and my father opened a gun shop in Tiverton, where we started. We had 1 pistol and 1 case of 9mm bullets in the small 200 square foot ish store, and together we built that up to a 8-stall, 25-yard indoor shooting range and full showroom display, 8,000 square foot facility, which we sold, I want to say, almost 3 years ago now. From there, we bought a big chunk of land, big property over there with some farmland on it, and that was right as the feds legalized industrial hemp. So I was like, all right, let's go and do this. I'd never had grown a blade of grass before in my life, so I just sat down, I crunched, did what I had to do. It was a lot of work. Got some investors and stuff, and I started the farm. First year out, we put out 16,000 plants.
Wow.
It was wild. I had a multi-million-dollar contract in hand. I got pollinated, and the whole thing fell through, and we lost a boatload of money. So then I pivoted, and you took the products, because we were going to do flour. I pivoted, I took the product, I extracted it, I learned how to extract down to what they call Rick Simpson oil, or just like a crude. Then I started making products. I got together with a friend of mine who, Carrie, she's an herbalist, esthetician, she's fantastic. So then we started that company. Now that company's up and running. We're in stores all over Massachusetts.
Wow.
So that's my entrepreneurship background. So then I started to get the bug to kind of help people, just really to help men. I got sick of, so I'm in law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
16 years I've been a correctional officer in Rhode Island. And I got to a point where these kids coming up in the new classes and like the rookies and stuff, not just them, but just this generation in general, they're so weak. To me, like in my eyes, the weak minds, they just instant gratification. It was driving me nuts. So I wrote a book.
Oh, okay.
I wrote it's not out yet, it's still in the editing phase. It's about 120 pages. It hits the 10 character traits that I think are what makes a man.
Mm-hmm.
So you have like discipline, strength, physical and mental strength.
Yep.
Grit, courage, duty, responsibility, all kinds of stuff. Hopefully that comes out next year.
Okay.
I'm hoping. So I write this book. Takes me a while. I am like, what am I going to do with this book?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How do I monetize this?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I've never done anything like this before in my life.
Yeah.
So I was like, I gave the book out to a bunch of friends for edits. So I'm waiting on some edits to come back. In the meantime, like, how else can I get this message across?
Yeah.
So then a friend of mine was like, we should do a podcast.
Okay.
So I was like, yeah, all right, let's go. And I built the studio, and then we jumped right into it. And what we do is we do current events, we do culture, and then I'll do some personal development stuff. We'll have guests time to time, but it's a very authentic take
Yep.
on a lot of a lot of these issues
Okay.
within the culture and within, current events. And even like the personal development stuff these days, I'm sure you get it.
Yep.
People find it to be controversial.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all I'm doing is telling men to go get strong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go get strong mentally, go get strong physically.
Yeah.
Go out and help people.
Yeah.
Because that's how you find your way out of depression or
Mhm.
like just feeling worthless.
Yeah.
If you go out and help somebody,
Yep.
you'll feel amazing.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of hate for spreading that message.
Yep.
It's wild.
Yeah. There's a lot of polarity in the entire masculinity space in
Yeah.
general. A couple of housekeeping things first. What time do you guys have? I didn't even ask anyone.
Oh.
What time does everyone have till?
Oh, it
It's-
doesn't matter for me.
Doesn't
Okay.
matter?
Yeah.
Good to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's 9 o'clock at night, guys.
Yeah.
This is what it takes to do a podcast.
Mhm.
Sometimes you gotta do it at 9 o'clock at night. That's it. So, but when we look at Justin, I got a water over here too for you if you need it. So, when we look at the masculinity space, that's what I want to go into. I'd love to hear some of like the personal development realms that you go into,
Mhm.
but I think as a whole, why don't you just help us describe just a little bit about like the men that are coming up, the weak men that we see. What is going on with the war on masculinity
Yeah.
in your own words here to
So
get us started?
where it's coming from it's probably 2,000 to 5,000 people worldwide, globally,
Yep.
that need men to be as weak as humanly possible,
Yes.
so that they can swoop in
Yep.
and take control.
Yep.
They want money and they want power.
Yep.
And in order for them to have that, your convictions, your values, and your principles need to be for sale.
Yep.
The only way that a man's principles, values are going to be for sale is if he's mentally weak.
Mhm.
Because it takes a lot of heart, it takes a lot of strength to hold your convictions.
Yeah.
So that's where it comes from. Like they want you sick so you take their medicine.
Yep.
They want you weak so they can walk all over you. They want you men and women divided. They want
Yep.
feminists saying I don't need no man.
Yep.
And also we need each other. Men
Yeah.
need women, women
Yep.
need men. They want you fat. You have to be fit.
Yep.
They want basically my message is everything that they say
Yep.
is good.
Yep.
You need to do the absolute opposite.
Yeah.
You need to do the opposite of it.
Yeah.
So they want you to feed into this this culture of feelings.
Yeah.
Men, we do have feelings, but we
Yeah.
don't feel them the same way
Mhm.
women do. They're there for us for survival.
Yep.
A man stuck in his feelings, generally speaking, 90% of the time is not a good man.
Yep.
A man who just does what he feels like doing
Yep.
all the time
Yeah.
is going to be violent.
Yep.
That's where you get the school shooters from. That's where you get the rapists from. That's where you get the woman beaters from.
Yep.
It's because as men, just do what you feel like doing. Just
Yeah.
do what you feel like doing.
Yeah.
And weak men feel like doing terrible things sometimes.
Yep.
So I preach just the opposite of that.
Yeah.
You should not do what you feel like doing. You should do what you should do.
Yep.
You should do the things that are hard,
Yep.
because the things that are easy
Yep.
lead you nowhere valuable. Only through difficulty and adversity can you grow and become at least closer to your full potential.
Yeah.
And that's a huge part of it, is just you have to take your feelings, you feel them,
Yep.
you process them,
Yep.
and then you do the right thing.
Okay.
That's the
Okay.
goal. That's
Okay.
the goal behind masculinity,
Yep.
in my eyes.
Okay.
But in this day and age, it's all just that makes me feel like we live in a culture of offense.
Yep.
We live in a culture of just, I don't know. It's just it's weakness. Nobody
Yeah.
can handle a conversation
Yeah.
if they don't see eye to eye. Like
Yeah.
if me and you disagree on something,
Yep.
I'm just from talking to you for like 10 minutes, I
Yeah.
know you would challenge me.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
I won't get offended by that.
Yeah. No. Your views are your views.
Right.
And I think as long as there's a certain level of respect that can
course.
come from each side, then even if your views are different than mine, it doesn't really bother me.
Mhm.
And it shouldn't bother you. But the thing is, we want, like, all of this polarization is coming from everyone should do, like, their own thing, you
Yeah.
know? But even when you do your own thing, you're not allowed to disagree with someone.
Right.
That's what's happening.
Right. And the reason why we would be able to disagree with one another and not be hurt
Yep.
is because we're both secure.
Yes.
That's an important part of the puzzle.
Yeah.
You have to be secure in your convictions, secure in your
Yeah.
beliefs, and that a lot of that comes from knowledge.
Yep.
A lot of that comes from trial and error.
Yep.
A lot of that comes from just doing things.
Yep.
So another aspect of the masculinity thing is execution. I'm a huge believer in execution. Like, my planning and building phases for both of my businesses were maybe a day,
Yeah.
2,
Yeah.
and then it was right into execution.
Yep.
It was, what can I do today to bring me one step closer to my macro goal?
Yep.
What micro, tiny little thing can I do right now
Yeah.
that will bring me closer?
Yeah.
And you just do that every day. And then those micro things build, and then eventually you get
Yeah.
there. But planning to do the thing's not doing the thing. Me telling you, I'm gonna go do this thing, isn't doing the thing.
Yeah.
Me writing it down on my calendar is not doing it.
Yeah.
The only thing that's doing that thing
Yeah.
is to actually do the thing, it's to execute
Yeah.
on your plans.
Yeah.
That's a huge piece of this too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are getting caught up with looking at the mountain right now and not being willing to take the first step, not being willing to be wrong. Just like how we talk about being secure, or you talk about being secure. We'll go and we'll say, okay, well, you know what if I'm wrong? And then people get all sad about being wrong, but who cares? No one's even gonna know. No one's gonna know, and it doesn't matter.
And 90% of the time, when we do fail,
Yep.
or when we are about to start something and then we don't do it because we have that fear of failure, the fear comes from our perception of what other people might think about it.
Yep.
Our perception of it.
Yeah.
Chances are they're not even thinking of you
No.
at
They're
all.
not.
99% of the time.
They're not.
That 1%,
Yep.
maybe they're thinking of you, but maybe they want you to have success. Maybe half of that. So maybe 0.5% of the people that you know
Yeah.
might be like, oh, ha, ha, and like laugh at you about your
Yeah.
failure.
Yeah.
And you just write them right off.
See, well, we have all these, like, I don't know what your social media was like coming about. Like, for like me and Justin, we grew up with it in a sense.
Yeah.
You know, once we were in high school, that's when it started to become a thing.
Mhm.
And now you've got people that hide behind and would never go and say something to your face, but they'll be willing to type it from wherever.
And it's created. It's so funny that you brought that up because
Yeah.
I just last week texted my producer a long text message because this was
Yeah.
on my mind,
Yeah.
and about the rise of the beta.
Yep.
And it happens from that lack of connection, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is, me and you are talking.
Yeah.
As men, we understand that at the end of every conversation is the possibility for the threat of violence.
Yeah.
So I can't just say whatever I want to you right now.
Yep.
You can't say whatever you want to me. You
Yeah.
could, but you would be understanding that there's a risk of violence
Yeah.
inherent in this because we're standing next to each other.
Yeah.
You remove that end possibility
Yeah.
of violence, and people can just start saying whatever they want to each other with no repercussion
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it gives voices to the weak.
Yeah.
Because strong men won't do that. I'm not going to argue
No.
with you on the internet. I do
No.
not care
Yeah.
what you have to say about me
Yeah.
on the internet. But that's what happens. That's where you got this rise of like the beta mind.
Yeah.
Was from taking away the threat of violence from conversation between men.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about it like that before.
Yeah.
In terms of like the threat of violence, like especially because for me, like I'm not a pretty violent guy unless I am provoked.
Yeah.
Then I understand that because like for men as a human behavior instinct, protector
course.
is one of our instincts.
That's one
like,
of the chapters of the book.
Yep. So like especially with like a men and woman like relationship and component to
Yep.
it, the masculine and the feminine, I understand that I'm taking the risk for me. Like anytime that I'm with a woman, whether it's relationship, sister, mother,
Yeah.
I understand that if we go out into public,
Mhm.
all right, and someone talks negatively to them, I am willing to take the risk that I am willing to die in that instance.
100%.
And that's what it is. And that's where that like masculine and feminine is there's that polarity to it, but they need each other.
Yep. And the closer we get to a baseline level of humanity,
Yep.
the further away those gender roles become. Women become more feminine, men become more masculine.
Yeah.
And we are so far from our base humanity, that's why you're seeing them start to melt.
Yeah.
Right? So, something that you said there, you're not a violent person,
Yeah.
but you have the capability
Yeah.
of violence,
Yeah.
which is very important. Every single man should be capable of violence.
Mhm.
I would even argue great violence.
Yeah.
Like tremendous violence.
Yep.
Because good men need to protect the vulnerable and the weak
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
bad men,
Yeah.
and the bad men are capable of terrible violence.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to match that, but you need to have it under voluntary control.
Yeah.
Right? So you need to be, that needs to be back there in your mind or in your subconscious or
Yeah.
in your personality.
Yep.
But you need to be able to control it all the time.
Yeah.
Because when if it gets out of control, now you got a problem.
Well, I think that's a great segue into how it can relate the two. When we look at that, that's how I look at like the delayed gratification, right? The same thing is happening where you're just acting on what you want as opposed to, I know that I could have this at a later date.
Yeah.
How can I? It connected better in my head than what I'm trying to say.
It happens to me all
like,
the time.
in my head it made sense.
Yeah.
Where like when we look at delayed gratification, it's I know that I can have this, but I need to withdraw my not instincts, but like my what am I trying to say here?
Withdraw your intention from.
Yeah, right
from
now,
that-
like the thing that I want now, like I need to wait in order to have something greater,
Something
later.
better.
It's something better later. Yeah.
So, for me, something that I've always done, and I'm still doing, like when we sold the gun shop,
Yeah.
I didn't take a penny,
Yep.
and we were partners, me and my dad,
Yeah.
and it was a multiple of 7 figures.
Yep.
That's yours.
Yeah.
Right. But so where was it? Well, why did I bring that up?
I don't know. See, this is what happens. Like sometimes you just lose
Yeah.
yourself.
Oh, delayed
you know?
gratification.
Yeah, delayed gratification.
Here we go.
but
We're back.
still,
We're
yeah.
back. So I didn't take any of that. I could have asked for some, and I could have been all set.
Yeah.
But that's my dad.
Yeah.
And me and my dad are super close. He was the best man in my wedding. That man has done everything for me.
Yep.
He is one of the best men I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
As in every aspect, masculine as a father, as a husband, he's great.
Yep.
But the delayed gratification, I say, nope, you have that.
Yeah.
I'll get it eventually. You
Yeah.
take care of it. You be the steward of that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do something on my own now.
Yeah.
And so I go out, and I've learned so much more by not having that money.
Yeah.
I've grown so much more by not taking any of that
Yeah.
as a young man than I ever would have sitting on 6-7 figures in my bank account.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I want to be hungry.
Yep.
I want to have drive. Like even when I set out to do something, either whether it's for my business or for the podcast or whatever, I like to physically feel hunger
Yep.
because it's driving to me.
Yeah.
Right? If I eat, I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
So like right now I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I made sure I didn't eat within like 2 or 3 hours
Yeah.
before coming here. I like to feel the hunger
Yeah.
because that drives me and that keeps me going.
Yep.
That delayed gratification is super important.
Yeah.
To be able to put that off, and especially if you're young. The younger you are, the easier it is to do it. So I'm still like rolling money. Like I don't take money from my businesses. I just
Yep.
roll it in and I grow.
Yep.
So it's like I'm working for nothing, but
Yeah.
you delay that gratification until it's something that's
Yep.
really a prize.
Now, are you ever going to be looking to receive it all? Or
I don't know. I don't believe, I don't want to. For that drive, for that
Okay.
hunger, I want to build for my kids.
okay.
I would like to leave them a legacy. I would like them to talk about me the way that I just talked about my dad.
Okay.
That's the greatest legacy even if I die penniless and poor,
Yeah.
if my kids say what I just said
Yeah.
about my dad, about me,
Yeah.
my life's success.
Okay.
Nothing but success there. I don't really care much about money or the wealth or the riches as long as my boys don't want for anything.
Yeah.
My wife has the option. If she wants to work, she can.
Yep.
If she doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Like and I think that's a huge flex for
Okay.
a man. If you're married
Yep.
and you can retire your wife at,
Yeah.
I retired my wife at, what was she, 34?
Yep.
But, so if you can do that, that's a huge flex.
Yep.
You get a lot of heat for it though.
Yep.
Because people are like, oh, you don't let her go to work. It's like, no, she can do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
She can work if she
But
wants.
she has the option.
She's happier to be home
Yeah.
with her kids.
Yeah.
You know, I give her the option, but that's a huge flex for a man.
Hmm. Now let me start to challenge you a little bit.
Yeah.
When I look at your building, different companies, different businesses,
Yeah.
okay, all for the kids.
Yeah.
How will the kids, your boys, have the drive and desire if they get everything handed to them?
Well, the idea would be that they get nothing until I'm dead.
Okay.
Hopefully that's a long time from now when
Yeah.
they're grown men,
Yeah.
where they've already gone through the adversities and
Right.
to build their own stuff,
Hmm.
or to, go to school and get a good job,
Yeah.
meet a good girl, have
Yeah.
your own kids, and like you've set yourself up on your own.
Yep.
I'll always be there as
Yeah.
a backdrop.
Yeah.
But I don't give my boys anything without them doing something.
Okay.
So I mean, I have a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old. The 1-year-old is just an idiot running around the house. Right?
Yeah.
He's in his
Yeah.
diaper going, ah.
Yeah.
Right. The 5-year-old, if he wants something, he's got to earn it.
Okay.
So we burn wood for heat.
Yep.
We hardly burn any fossil fuels in our house.
Yep.
So if he wants a snack or something, like just go down, grab a couple of logs, and bring them up.
Okay.
Right, and he'll go and he'll do it, and so I'm teaching him like you got to do something
Yeah.
to get things,
Okay.
and I want to build upon that, just like my dad did with me. I mean, when I got my license, I was like, hey Dad, I'm getting my license. I need a car. And he said, whoa, you better figure that out.
Yeah.
He had the money to buy me the car,
Yeah.
but I was like, well, how can I get to a job? He goes, I'll take you to your job.
Okay.
Yep. So I went to my job. I saved up a bunch of money,
Okay.
and now I'm bringing money into the house. He
Yeah.
he also charged me money
Okay.
to stay in the house. It was like $20 a week or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
And then I saved up some money, and I finally bought my own car. I bought a 1988 Ford Escort hatchback
Okay.
for $500 from auction.
Wow.
Top speed was 65 miles an hour
There you
on
go.
that bad boy.
There you go.
But I bought it myself,
Yeah.
and that felt really good.
Okay.
And he taught me the value of money and
Yeah.
the value of hard work. And I want to teach that to my boys too.
Okay. Now, 2 other ways that I'm going to start to challenge you here. If they're only going to get money
Mhm.
and I'm just talking about the monetary,
Okay.
not like all of the lessons that they're getting instilled in them right now.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
If they're only getting your life's work in your money,
Mhm.
okay, when you're dead, let's say 100,
Mhm.
they're going to be 70.
Yep.
Okay. Was it worth it to them in a sense? Was it worth it to you in that case?
As far as like the sacrifice of time with them,
So
like,
not
in
the sacrifice
comparison
of
to
time.
what?
Not the sacrifice of time. Why are you taking everything that you're earning now,
Mhm.
saving it for them or building it for them,
Mhm.
for them to receive it at a later time? But if they don't get it until 70, what are they going to do with it at 70 years old?
Hopefully, they've given me grandbabies,
Okay.
and then they can do the same, and we can create some kind of generational wealth
So
for the family.
okay. But now, if every single
Generation.
if
keeps
every
doing
single
that.
generation
Yeah.
keeps doing that, then with how inflation go, when
Yeah.
will it just be worth nothing?
Well,
And then, like, would it be more beneficial for them, for you to say, hey, if you want this, if you want to be a part of this, you come and work for me, this is how I do it, and then you can learn to take your share and then do what you want with it.
well,
would that be more beneficial?
100%. That is a part of it. That
Okay.
they can draw, even like I could draw money
Yep.
out right now and stuff, but
Yeah.
I choose not to because I don't need it.
Yep.
And how much stuff do you really need?
Yeah.
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
So-
yeah.
Yeah, if they were working for me,
Yep.
come a paycheck, if they wanted it, or if they wanted to grow it, roll it in, That would really be up to them. But honestly, when it comes to the monetary, there's no point to it.
Okay.
There's nothing. As long as you're fed.
Well, it's just like this belief that we have.
Yeah, right.
Money doesn't actually...
It means nothing.
It doesn't mean anything. It's just that we've given it a meaning.
Yep. And
that's it.
That's
all it is.
We just had Thanksgiving, so...
Everyone has just agreed that, hey, this means you can buy stuff.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
That's all it is.
Right. We just had Thanksgiving, so that's like a gratitude thing.
Yeah.
I said this on one of my episodes of the podcast. I was like, I wake up in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, every morning. I get up, I look at my wife, I look at my 1-year-old, I go and I check on my 5-year-old. They're all alive and breathing. I'm good.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I need.
Yeah.
And like, so what I said in the show is like, what depression could come against me when I wake up in the morning, both my boys and my wife are sleeping in their beds, breathing.
Yeah.
What money can, you could not pay me enough money to change that.
Exactly.
So the monetary is whatever. I enjoy the journey. I enjoy the build. Yeah. I enjoy the hustle of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like building.
Yeah.
That's where I enjoy. That's why I enjoy it.
Okay. Now, I want to challenge you on this as well.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at your boys and you say, hey, you're instilling a belief or a lesson in them that in order for them to get something, they need to do something, but the same thing when it comes to other people. In order for someone to get something out of me, you have to give something to me in return.
I feel like as long as that is being taught in certain situations, and not all,
okay,
that they'll be able to, like, I'll never, they'll be able to distinguish between the two things. Like, I'll never require him to do something to earn my love.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Or to earn, like, an attaboy. Or like some stuff like that. He doesn't have to earn that stuff. He does have to earn junk food, or like material things. Like if he wants a new video game downloaded on his Xbox or something, like, yeah, dude, no, you got to earn that.
Okay.
And that's extra.
Okay.
But your necessities, the things that are required for you to develop and grow and to live, you get those, man. That's there.
Okay.
That's just there for you.
That clears a lot up for me there.
Yeah.
And then you're also a man of God, very spiritual, but you go to church, right?
Yep.
And now, what religion do you follow?
So, we are apostolics.
Okay.
So it's a Christian religion.
Yep.
We believe that the church was started on the day of Pentecost.
Okay.
Which is when God's Spirit rained down and everybody spoke in tongues up on the Temple Mount. And we believe so when God's Spirit filled all the people, that's when the church of Jesus Christ started, after the book of Acts. I like to think that I'm a good spiritual leader in the home.
Yep.
I could be better. I could be better in every aspect of my life. It's something I'm always working towards. But whether you believe, like, 'cause again, with religion, any religion, not everybody, but people have a problem with it.
Yeah.
People, oh, you're Sky Daddy, stuff like that. But it's like, whether you believe in the actual existence of the God, I can prove to you that God exists right now.
Yep.
Me and you were on a boat.
Yep.
We crashed the boat.
Yep.
Right? You swim to one island, I swim to another.
Yep.
On your island, they're all heathens.
Okay.
And they're cannibalistic, and they eat you because they don't believe anything bad's going to happen to them in an afterlife if they eat you.
Yep.
You're just free food that washed up.
Yeah.
The island that I get to believes in God and believes that they can't kill me because of their God.
Okay.
The act or lack of action, them not eating me because of their faith, is God existing in the real world.
Okay. Now, how is God? So, I'm a spiritual person as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not someone that goes to church, but my own spiritual practices, as in, I believe in God, universe, a higher power.
Okay.
Okay. That's my belief.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever wants to believe whatever they want, it doesn't bother me.
Right.
Like one of my best friends, she's super Catholic, like very super religious.
Yeah.
And awesome. That's great for you.
Yeah.
not all of our values line up, I still have plenty of respect for her.
Yeah.
You know, things of that nature. So when you look at the cannibalistic island, how is God there on that island?
Well, God's not. So if you want to get into this, God's
Yeah,
not.
no,
yeah.
I'm up for it. Yeah, yeah.
God,
I love to be challenged.
Yeah,
You know,
God
yeah.
is not the ruler of this world.
Okay.
When Jesus was in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights being tempted by the devil, the
Yep.
devil offered him the world.
Yep.
The devil didn't know at the time. Have you ever read the Bible?
No.
Dude, it is a wild book.
I've never
It
read
is
it, no.
absolutely incredible.
Yep.
It is, even if you don't believe in Jesus being the Messiah and God, just the stories alone you can get so much from, and it's captivating.
Yeah.
But, so Jesus in the desert, 40 days, 40 nights. The devil's out there tempting him. The devil does not know that Jesus is God.
Okay.
He believes that he's just a Messiah. Jesus was
Yeah.
a rebel. He goes, I will give you the whole world if you give yourself to me.
Okay.
Jesus did not say, that's not yours to give, that's my Father's to give.
Okay.
He said, no. He
Okay.
simply rejected.
Yep.
To me, that's proof, and there's multiple other examples of this,
Yep.
that Satan, the devil, is in control and owns this world.
Interesting. Okay.
And that's in multiple parts of the Bible,
Yeah.
where Satan owns this world.
Okay.
Now, God obviously has final say and absolute input. Like in the book of Job, Satan goes to God and says, I can break him if you just remove your hedges from him.
Okay.
Because Job was a faithful worshiper of God.
Yep.
God said, you can't break him. He removes the hedge, and Satan attacks him, kills all of his children, gives him leprosy, gives him all these problems, and Job never wavers from his belief in God after the devil tortured him.
Yep.
The devil had to ask God for his permission.
Okay.
And it was to prove this point, to write this story.
I see.
Yeah.
I had never heard this. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude,
Um,
I mean,
This is interesting.
it's an incredible book. There's
Yeah.
one book, and I'm not just saying this.
Yeah.
I want to be very clear.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying this from a religious standpoint. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to convert
Yeah.
anybody.
No.
The stories in this book are where I got 90% of my mindset, my point of views, even on masculinity, on
Yeah.
everything. It can all be found in there. Like I just did a segment on the podcast about it was Isaiah chapter 30 verse 20, where he talks about the bread of adversity and the water of affliction.
Yep.
So you needed bread and water to survive.
Yep.
Right. So you need food and water to survive, and he's equating that to adversity and affliction.
Yep.
So my point of view is that God knows that we need adversity
Yep.
to grow and to survive, and we need affliction.
Okay.
So we need to be going through hard things
Yep.
in order to find our way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mean, there's so much, even like tiny sentences that mean so much in that book.
Interesting, because like the way that I look at spirituality, the way that I view God and the universe, they're one for me.
Mhm.
Okay. And so when I look at God and the universe, I believe that God is within all of us and living out, all right, God's purpose through all of us.
Mhm.
And that's how I view it. Would you agree or challenge me a little bit there? How do you view that statement that I have and that view that I have?
Yeah, that would be a difficult one to meld, simply based on the fact that if God was in all of us and living out through us,
Yep.
then we wouldn't have free will,
Okay.
so to speak. But not only that, like all the bad things that happen,
Yep.
the pedophiles, the
Yep.
murderers, all that stuff, that would mean that God had a hand in that,
Yep.
which I don't believe is possible. God cannot dwell with sin.
Yep.
But to the point where God is with us all,
Yep.
and is one
Yep.
with all of us, when we're all one with one another, I agree with that.
Okay. So like the
'Cause-
law of one for the universe, yeah.
Because we all came from one.
Yep.
We came from Adam.
Yep.
God breathed his breath into him.
Yep.
We are breathing his breath.
Mhm. So when I look at God and I look at like pedophiles and all of the sins and everything like
Mhm.
that, it is for the higher purpose. Just like you talk about the hard times.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I view it is, without that, we would not be able to ascend higher. If everything was just perfect, then nothing would be perfect.
Right.
You know, so we need that polarity.
Just like in culture, if everything's racist, nothing's racist.
Yeah.
If everything's bigoted, nothing's bigoted. I try and tell these people, like, careful, you're ruining that word for yourselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And I believe that is why God gave us free will and lets these things play out.
Yep.
Because what do you believe that the purpose of life is?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. Like, I think that the purpose of life would be to... Oh, you got me
I
stumped
flipped it
here.
on you.
I know, you flipped it on me. You know, I wasn't ready for questions here.
Yeah, I'll give
But,
you.
yeah, why don't you go first?
I'll give you mine.
And then that way I can at least sit and let it marinate for a
I
second.
believe that the purpose of life is to suffer.
Okay.
That is the purpose of life, is to suffer, to overcome, and to see how hard you are to kill or to break.
Okay.
Because life is suffering. All of it.
Yep.
Every aspect of it.
Okay.
It's hard. It sucks most of the time.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
So, life is suffering. Luckily, God made us so resilient
Mm-hmm.
that we can make it through all of that
Yep.
and grow. And we grow spiritually, and we
Yep.
grow mentally, we grow in so many different ways. So if you ask me,
Yep.
the point of life, the purpose, is to suffer and then to persevere. And then to suffer again and then to persevere. And that's what Jesus did while Jesus was
Interesting.
here.
Okay. I have my answer. As soon as you said that, it clicked for me and
Yeah.
it just came to me. Mine is the complete opposite.
Okay?
It is to find self-actualization, okay,
Yeah.
and then to spread and give love everywhere.
Yeah. Jesus did that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So even though both of us have, on a surface level, the opposite answer,
Polar opposites.
at the
They're the
same,
same
they're
time.
the same.
They're the same.
Which is very
Yeah.
strange, you know, and I think it will take, when people listen to this, it will take them time to listen over and over and over to understand that we're saying,
It's
in
funny.
essence, the same thing.
It's funny, as you were saying that, I was thinking, we're saying the polar opposites,
Yep.
but they mean the same exact thing.
Yeah.
And then you said it
Yeah.
at the same time. We both felt that in that moment.
Yep.
I hope it translates
Yeah,
to the audience.
yeah.
But no, that was good.
But again, I think that for the audience, like when people listen to things like this, like even with the podcast, everyone is searching for outside answers.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you have to introspect
Mhm.
and you have to look inward for every single answer that you want.
100%.
Because if you were just to tell me, hey, this is the purpose of life,
Mhm.
one, I'm always going to have a subconscious belief that it's your belief and not mine.
Right.
And then, which I
That we
believe there is.
Yep, I believe the same.
Yeah.
That we can all access.
Yeah.
I just believe that we access it through God. Other people
Yep.
believe that they access it differently.
Yep.
But that there's a collective consciousness.
Yep.
That's why I say everybody's idea is somebody else's idea.
Yeah.
Because it's probably already been said because it's
Yep.
in that collective conscious.
Mm.
And Jung talked about this at length in the Red Book when he goes down to the depths, it's like a full story.
Yeah.
Like he's met by devils and he met Elijah and Salome down, and they tell him this. They're like,
Yeah.
"You think your thoughts are yours?
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah.
They're everyone's.
Yeah.
Everyone owns those thoughts.
Yeah.
You just happen to be here to grab it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Now, what do you do on a daily basis with your thoughts? Do you meditate or find a spiritual practice to observe your thoughts, or do you just take them and say, these are the thoughts that are coming to me today, and that's it. You just see them at this surface level, like a zoomed out version. Like how do you view your thoughts on a daily basis?
So, my 5-year-old
Yeah.
has a hard time. He's very, very spiritual, being raised in the church,
Yep.
but he's very connected to the subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a hard time dealing with thoughts. But Dad, I feel like doing this, and I don't know why. Like, or
Okay.
and so I'm trying to teach him how to grow in this and how to, and I'm gonna explain.
Yeah.
But to do that, what he's doing,
Yep.
a lot of people do as adults, and it must be torturous to have no control over the thoughts coming in and out of your mind. First thing I do is I can pray.
Yep.
So, and that's, some people meditate, some people, but it's
Some type of practice.
yes.
Yeah.
The next thing I do is I will not judge a thought immediately based on any criteria.
Yep.
The thought's there, it exists, that means it's real,
Yep.
right? So I have to accept it as such.
Yeah.
To just write it off does me no service.
Yep.
So no matter what the thought is, you have to grasp it. Then you can you have two decisions you can make.
Yep.
You can act on it,
Yep.
or you can toss it out.
Mhm.
And that's when goodness comes into play, and righteousness. Whatever the next best thing to do is, whatever the right thing to do is,
Yep.
based on your convictions, your principles, and your values,
Yep.
that's what you do with that thought.
Okay.
So like,
Yeah.
for example,
Yeah.
a married man who is a Christian who sees a beautiful woman,
Yep.
right? The thought is that you want to look at her.
Yeah.
But the discipline and the righteous thing to do is to take that thought. You accept that that's a part of who you are.
Yeah.
That's a part of being a man. It's part of your subconscious. But you don't have to take that. You don't have to respond to that.
Yeah.
You can just say, I understand who I am, and then I'm choosing to throw that part of me away for right now.
Okay.
And you don't look.
That makes sense.
And that's how that's how religion and these practices can help you stay away from error.
See, so this is where I will tie in my purpose for life.
Mhm.
That level of self-actualization
Yep.
is you getting to the point where you understand who you are
Yeah.
and what you actually want to do with your core values and beliefs and how you have created them for yourself, and then living them out is your purpose in
Mhm.
life. So
Yeah.
how did you get to the point where you were able to create those core values and level of integrity for yourself?
Just a lot of screwing up.
Okay.
I mean, I had to travel places in my mind and physically in the world
Yep.
that were less than ideal
Mm-hmm.
in order to figure out who I was and where I wanted to be. And like, it's the saying of hitting rock bottom.
Yep.
I think that's how anybody finds it.
Yeah.
It's through the adversity.
Yeah.
And that's why I intentionally put myself into adversity continuously
Okay.
now, is to continue to grow towards this integrity and stuff. And a lot of it comes from my religion too.
Yep.
A lot of the integrity stuff, because it's been ingrained in me
Yep.
for so long about like just in martial arts, since I was 4 years old. Like it's integrity, it's discipline. Those are the ways to happiness.
Yep.
If you only do what you want to do all the time, and if you are selfish, the world today tells you that those things are the route to happiness, but it's the total opposite.
Yeah.
The true way to happiness is through that integrity and the discipline.
Yep.
And it took me a long time to figure that out.
So let me ask you this now. When you talked about your life purpose is suffering,
Mhm.
when you were going through your rock bottom, hard times, dark night of the soul
Mhm.
in a more spiritual type of
Yeah.
church sense.
So there was spiritual stuff there.
Yeah. So when you were going through that, why did you not stay there if life is about suffering?
Because there's suffering for purpose,
Yep.
and then there's suffering to suffer.
Okay.
And I'm a purpose-driven type of person. I like to think that I'm intellectual
Yep.
and spiritual.
Yep.
I understood that I was suffering for reason,
Okay.
for purpose.
Okay.
Even going through it,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I knew that there was. I don't really tell this story often because people think I'm nuts, but
You can share what you want.
Yeah,
and
I was.
You can do what you want. Yeah.
So in the prison, I saw a giant black shadowy thing.
Yep.
And I didn't just see it out of the corner of my eye. It came up out of the floor,
Yep.
and it went into the wall, and I stared at it for like 5 seconds.
Yep.
And I didn't say anything. All the other guys in the room with me were like, dude, what did you just see? Because I like turned white.
Yeah.
From that night on, for like the next 3 months, I had a recurring nightmare of that thing at the foot of my bed, swirling up, pouring into my mouth, and me speaking in tongues.
Interesting. Wow.
It was wild, and it brought me to depths that I wouldn't wish on anybody. I was this close to just eating a bullet.
Yep.
Pow! It was
Yeah.
tormenting me.
Yeah.
Even in that moment, I knew that this was all for purpose.
Mm.
I told my dad, who's my best friend,
Yep.
and he's like, "You gotta go talk to your mom. My mom's a saint in the church.
Right.
She's been in the church forever." This is before I was even there.
Yep.
And so I go to her, she prays over me, and it's just like a veil's unlifted from my eyes and an immense weight off my shoulders. I was like seeing and smelling and touching for the first time in months.
Yeah.
And that's how I knew that God was real. That this battle that's going on between good and evil
Yep.
is real, because I went there. It affected me
Yep.
on both ends of the spectrum.
Yep.
I needed both things.
You needed
And-
the duality of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't just have the good
Yeah.
without experiencing that, because the good's never sweet.
Yep.
And you can't just have the bad,
Yep.
because you never know how sweet the good is.
Yep.
I needed both. God knew I needed both. I even kind of knew I needed both, and that's what solidified my faith
Yep.
and brought me through.
Yeah.
And I was heavily drinking at the time.
Yep.
And so it was a dark place to be.
Yeah.
But to get back to your original thought, why not stay there?
Yeah.
Because that's not God's purpose for us.
Okay.
His purpose is for us to suffer
Yep.
and to grow
Okay.
and to come out of it. To
Yeah.
never be, because it's weak to stay there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In my eyes anyway.
Yep.
You have to have the mindset of a victor.
Yep.
I wake up in the morning and like, it's just, again, a lot of people don't like this. I look at myself in the mirror and go, you're a winner, you're the man.
Yeah.
How could it hurt me to not
Yeah.
tell myself that I'm a winner and that I'm the man?
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, every room I walk into, I'm like, I'm the man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the type of mindset you need to suffer and grow.
Yep.
Suffer and grow. Like, no matter what's coming against me, what affliction, what adversity is attacking me, I know I'm capable of suffering. I've done it so many times, and I can grow.
Yeah.
And every time you grow, you're a little bit higher up, then you're gonna drop.
Yeah.
But that drop's a little bit less deep,
Yeah.
and then you can climb up a little bit higher. When you're standing in front of the mountain, the shadow's dark.
Yep.
At the bottom, it's pitch. As you work your way up, you start seeing that sunlight.
Yep. There's a lot to unpack there for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for that story. That was
Yeah, it's a wild story. I don't tell that often, but
yeah. So for me and people that have listened to the podcast a lot, they've definitely heard me use the example before of if I have good here and bad here, and I take away good, what do you have? People will say bad, but really you have nothing.
Right.
Because you have nothing to compare it to.
Right.
So you have nothing.
No sunshine without rain.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and again, like I'm big on laws of the universe, things of that nature. That's the spiritual side of me. And so that law of polarity is the same thing in the world. Without spring, you have no winter.
Right.
Without fall, you have no summer.
You have no wholeness. You have no oneness
Yep,
without
yep.
both.
Without both. Yep.
It's crazy to talk about duality
Yep.
and then bring it right back to oneness. But if you're only happy all the time,
It's the same.
You're
It's the
only
same.
living half your life.
Exactly.
You're
Yep.
ignoring all the darkness there.
Yep.
That's there for you.
Yes. Yeah.
That's there. All that's there for you. And what separates my ideas from yours mostly
Yep.
is I enjoy finding what's in the shadow
Yeah.
a little bit more than I think you do. I think you enjoy living more in the light. Correct
Yep.
me if I'm wrong. I enjoy the shadow
Yep.
because I feel like it drives me.
But
more.
that is your light in a sense.
Yeah,
You know?
right.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'm finding light
Yeah.
in it,
Yeah.
and it's just it can become cyclical for me.
Yeah.
So but that's why we can say totally opposite things, but be talking about the same
at
thing.
the essence of what we're saying, it's the same
Yeah.
for each of us. Just the way that the way that you see the world is not as it is, it's as you are.
Yeah.
So we're both looking at Justin here,
Mm.
but you see Justin one way and I see Justin another way,
Yep.
because I see Justin as I am and you see Justin as you are.
Yeah.
Even though we're looking at the same
We're
thing,
projecting ourselves.
we're
into
projecting
it.
ourselves at the same
Yep.
thing. I want to go back into your short story that you had just shared.
Yeah.
There were a couple more thoughts that I wanted to go over there. When you look at, when you had that 3 months of that shadow coming into you,
Yeah.
what was like the thought of the purpose of it in that time frame? Was there a thought and a purpose
I'm not-
of it, or more of just
So I'm not convinced that that thing was in the room with me most of the times. The dream was me laying in my bed, like perfectly seeing my room, like, but I was paralyzed and it was
Yep.
pouring in my mouth.
Yep.
Sometimes I think I was awake. Sometimes it was somewhere in the middle of this dream state.
Yeah.
It was trying to kill me.
Yep.
100%. That's
Yep.
what I got from it, and it was absolute dread.
Yep.
It showed me the epitome
Yep.
of fear.
Yep.
And now, and I think it was trying to keep me out of the church.
Yep.
My mom was a prayer warrior. She's praying for me to
Okay.
get me into the church and stuff.
Oh,
And
okay.
this thing was like, we can't have him
Hmm.
going to the church.
Interesting. Okay.
So when we met,
Yep.
this thing was never human.
Yep.
Whatever it was.
Yep.
This is a bad thing.
Yeah.
When we met, this thing knew that I was being prayed for, and it just latched onto me.
Yep.
It showed me dread, fear. The speaking in tongues
Yep.
is the Satan is the great deceiver, and he imitates the gifts of God.
Okay.
And one of the signs of the Holy Ghost is you speak in another language, you speak in
Okay.
tongues, and it was imitating that.
Oh, okay.
So it was mocking my faith.
Yep.
I had faith at the time, but I wasn't in the church. I believed
Yeah.
in God always, but I just wasn't in the church. It was mocking me
Mm.
as it was doing this. Its purpose was to destroy me,
Yep.
spiritually, physically, and to claim me.
Yep.
And it almost succeeded. My mom saved my life. But it failed because it showed me such fear that now I have no fear.
Interesting. Okay.
I've faced.
You've seen what the bottom is
yes,
like.
I know what fear is
Yep.
from this experience,
Yep.
and this was every time I slept.
Yep.
So every single night, this thing was doing this to me, and I'd wake up paralyzed for a while. My girlfriend at the time would have to like shake me.
Yep.
It was brutal. I'd be sweating. I'd have to
Yep.
shower after. It was bad. But this thing showed me the abyss of fear, and so now I can go around and I don't have like standard fears that people have and standard anxieties. I'm like, dude, that's nothing.
Yeah.
You haven't seen that the level of darkness.
Yeah.
So it's given me a great gift.
Yeah. Wow. And then I want to go back again. One more thing that you had mentioned previous was the masculine component that you have,
Mhm.
and the I am a winner, I am the man.
Mhm.
It's that masculine embodiment, and that's the most difficult thing for, I think, people to comprehend and actually change their life. Because I think
Yeah.
this can be really powerful for people.
Yeah.
Is people want to become this X over here,
Mhm.
right? They want,
But they never become it here first.
but you have to act as in, just because you don't see it in the external world, it's because your internal world has not embodied that yet.
Mhm.
When I use the term embody, you are becoming that person that you want to become,
Mhm.
and all of the external things that you want.
Mhm.
When you have it here first, oh my God, everything that I want, everything that I am, is already happening here,
Yep.
then you become that person.
100%. It's actually physically impossible for you to reach that level of that X, whatever it is your goal is, without it happening here first.
Exactly.
It's not possible.
Yep.
I could not possibly ever be the actual man. Now listen, I understand there's many men
Yep.
in the world that are better than me.
Sure. With everything. With everything.
At everything,
Yeah.
with everything, in
Yeah.
every respect.
Yep.
Okay? But it gives me no benefit to tell myself that. It's like a self-hypnosis. I am the man.
Yeah.
Constantly. Right? Because of what we're talking about here. If I don't visualize this, if I don't embody it in my
Believe it.
mind,
I need to believe
I need to
it.
believe
Yeah.
it here first. So like if you want to be rich, you'll never be rich
Unless
until
you're rich
you're
here
rich
first.
here. You'll never be, like, if you want to be strong, you're never going to be strong until
Yep.
you're strong here.
Yeah.
Those two things, especially mental toughness and physical strength, are very, 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 very linked.
Yeah.
But the mind is where everything comes from. Like I'll do, so in my cold plunge in the morning, 45 degrees, 3 minutes every morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. That's my visualization time. I sit back in the tub for 3 minutes. All I'm doing is thinking of my life if it were absolute perfection.
Yep.
I don't worry about how I'm going to get these things. I don't worry about, like, sometimes things pop in my head that I'm like, why would that be perfection for
Yeah.
me? But like my subconscious just putting that there, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
and I let it flow. And that act of visualization in my mind
Yep.
makes it even possible to happen. If I didn't do that, it would be impossible for it to happen because I wouldn't even know what I want.
Yeah.
How many people walk around sad, but they have no idea what they're after?
Yeah.
It's wild to me. You have to take that look inside of yourself, be introspective, visualize, and it takes practice.
Yep.
If you try it, the first month you're going to be horrible at it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're
Yeah.
like me, like I think in words.
Yep.
Some people think in pictures.
Yep.
If you think in pictures, it'll be a little bit easier for you.
Yep.
I had to train my brain how to think in pictures.
Yeah.
Because I want to see it.
Yeah.
Like if I wanted a Lamborghini, I would think in my head about waking up in the morning, and I would walk down the stairs, I would open my garage door, and there'd be my white Lamborghini, brown leather interior. I'd open the door, I'd get in, I would be able to smell the leather,
Yeah.
I'd be able to feel the steering wheel. It's very vivid.
Yeah.
And I would just do that over and over and over again until I had it.
Yeah.
But I don't want a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
The things that I want are a little bit more simple.
Yeah.
But without it first starting here, it'll never manifest.
That's that entire this visualization component to things. People, one, don't know who they are at their core, that level of self-actualization.
Mhm.
And again, I do think that it's also something that you will never reach. Self-actualization and self-mastery is impossible. But you can always look to grow and to attempt to get there. And you are self-mastered as much as you can be right now in every second as time is passing.
Right. It's like you're on a Stairmaster,
Yeah.
right? So you're on a Stairmaster, and you keep chugging along, and you're growing, and every step you take, you're growing, right? If you stopped with the self-mastery,
Yep.
you're just going to drop and fall out of the race.
Yep.
You have to continue up, and you understand that there's always going to be another step.
Yeah.
It's always going to come up. You're never going to have, like you say, you're never going to perfect this because you're always growing.
Yep.
And that's the beauty of it, is there's no end. It's just constant journey, and it's in personal development, personal excellence. It's the greatest. How do I put this? It's the greatest rebellion in this society
Yeah.
that there could possibly be.
Yep.
If you want to fight back against all the crazy nonsense that's going on in this world right now,
Yep.
the first thing, absolute best thing you can do is to be personally excellent.
Yep. Is to better yourself.
Better
That's
yourself.
It. That's it.
Because
Yeah.
if you do it and I do it,
Yeah.
now there's two people who've done it, and then if he does it,
Yeah.
and if we all together become excellent,
Yep.
there's nothing that we can't accomplish.
Yep. People get it wrong where, and this was me for a long time, where, you know what, in order for me to become better, I'm going to go and better everyone around me.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you're not listening to what I say. You're just going to do what I do.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So
Yeah.
like when you want to change the world, instead of trying to change everyone else, when you change yourself, then people will go and say, they'll look and they'll be like, oh, something's different. He's walking different. He's talking different.
Yeah.
He's acting different. He looks different. All of these things, and then they're gonna ask you how you did it, and that's how you actually change the world. Not, hey, I've got this personal development stuff that I could do for you.
Yeah.
It's I'm gonna do all this for me, and then people will follow.
And even speech doesn't work. I can't tell somebody, hey, you need to start being better.
Yep.
And then me, myself, not have my room cleaned up.
Yeah.
And me not be like, I couldn't be overweight and be like, dude, you need to get into the gym.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't,
Yeah.
that doesn't work.
Yep.
You have to set example with action.
Yep.
And then people will naturally gravitate towards you, and then you can articulate to them the process.
Exactly.
Very important.
Yeah, because that's where I think the majority of people get it wrong. And then I want to go just one step deeper into that visualization, because I think this could be really helpful for people.
Yeah.
Just like you were talking about, people don't know where they want to go. They have a hard time visualizing it, but they've never tried to visualize it. They've also never written it out of what they actually want their
Huge.
life to look like.
Writing.
And then what they actually, the person that they need to become in order to have that.
Mhm.
Because we look at all these external things of what we want, but the journey of becoming the person that is able to attain all of those things is actually what people want.
Right.
It's not all of the things, it's who you're able to come when you become the person that you creates all of those
Right.
things.
It's a lot there.
Yep.
Happiness as an end goal is unattainable.
Yep.
You can never grasp it. You ever notice that? It's just always like, it's because the happiness is in the actions that bring you forward.
Yep.
That the journey is the happiness.
Yeah.
It's not the end goal, and it shouldn't be viewed as such. But what you said about visualization, it's important to understand too that the time of visualization, for me, what works best for me,
Yep.
is that it's a time just to visualize.
Yep.
It's not a time to figure out how I'm going to do it.
Yep.
Or how I'm going to accomplish all these things. Just
Yeah.
to figure myself out. It's a time of introspection of just like, what do
Yeah.
I really want?
Yeah.
You have to understand yourself in order to do that. Once you realize what you want, now you can sit down and you can write. You can be like, all right, these are the things I want. How am I going to do this? And you
Yeah.
break down these things into small actions.
Exactly.
And you take those small actions and you just start doing them. Like
Yeah.
today, like tonight, as
Yeah.
soon as you're done listening to this.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. You don't sit there and plan.
Yep.
You do the thing
Yep.
that you want to do. The small thing, the micro things, and they build.
Yeah.
And then you can get to that macro. But it all starts with understanding yourself and knowing what you want. Stop wandering around aimlessly.
Yep.
Look in, figure out what you want, and then go get it.
Well, I think the thing is too, is when we look at all of the things that we want and people don't know themselves, they're taking all these things, just like we were talking about beforehand. I don't know if it was recorded or not, but when we're talking about social media and everything.
Yeah.
With social media, we have all of these inputs coming in, and it's so difficult for us to figure out who we are
Yeah.
because we're getting all of these projections from everyone else and all of these snippets from everyone else of what people have and what they
Their highlight reels,
their
baby.
highlight reel and what they
Yeah.
like and all of these things. And what you need to do is the best way to add into your life is to subtract.
Yeah.
It's not to add all of these things into your life, it's to take away all of the things that are projecting into your life and saying, you need this to be happy, you need this to be
Right.
happy. It's just like the example you use with the personal training and the gym and things
Yeah.
like that. If you want someone to get in shape, you just need to get in shape.
So, I started my fitness journey when my first son was born.
Yep.
Because I was like, I am now responsible for a little life that I have to protect. So I wanted to be strong, I wanted to be fast, I wanted to be in peak physical condition. And I also had seen a Socrates quote where it was like, I'm gonna butcher this.
Yep.
But Socrates said it's a travesty to grow old as a man and never realize your body's full potential.
Yep.
And that struck me.
Yep.
Because I was like, that really is a travesty. To
Yeah.
never know what my body is actually capable of. I want to push this thing
Yeah.
to my limits. And now I got my boys I have to protect, and my wife, I need to be fit. There's no option for me. That's
Yeah.
my duty as a husband and father, is to protect. What was the original question here? I lost my train of thought.
I don't think there was a
Okay.
question. Yeah, no, there wasn't actually a question. So,
Yeah. So just the, I was going somewhere with that.
that's okay. You were talking about how it would be a travesty if you never realized your full peak potential and at least your physical form, which we can branch off into our mental form and all
Yeah.
of these different aspects. But I think that's a great place to leave off. We'll go with the last question here.
Okay.
So last guest left you a question.
Okay.
And this is a fun one for you.
All right.
I'm glad that you got this one. So this is from Maya Allen. She, again, very opposite in terms of your views.
Yeah.
Lover of, I say lover of life, and just the amount of love that exudes from her is crazy. Like her level of consciousness and like her vibration that she brings into the world is absolutely wild.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what is the best compliment you have ever received?
The best compliment that I've ever received.
Yeah.
Probably my wife telling me I'm a good dad. It's very simple,
That's easy.
but
Easy peasy.
it's coming from the love of my life,
Yep.
who I cherish and would do anything for. And so this is good. In my life, there's only 3 people that can hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
Because we give power. That nobody can say or do anything. Well, they can do something to me. You could punch me in the face or
Yep.
shoot me or something, but
Yep.
nobody can say anything to me and hurt me besides 3 people.
Okay.
My wife and my 2 kids.
Okay.
Those are the only people I give the power to affect me emotionally.
Okay.
So she holds immense power
Yep.
in my life. So that coming from her, from somebody who I love, respect, and have given control to of my emotions,
Yep.
is huge. Not to mention the recognition of all the effort and all the work that I put in with my boys. So yeah, that's hands down. That's the answer.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Why don't you just let the viewers know where we can find you, and we'll wrap up here.
Yeah, you guys can find me at therealgritpodcast.com, or we're on all the social medias. We are on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Audible. You can find us, just search The Real Grit Podcast. We got some cool merch. We have the Stay Gritty shirts. We have some, we have the wood chipper line hats. I don't want to get into that, but you can figure out what that's all about in the podcast. Yeah, we're on just about everything. You just search The Real Grit Podcast, you can find us.
All right, sweet. Hey, thanks for this.
Cool,
was
man.
really
Yeah,
cool.
man.
This was
Thank
really
you.
cool.
Appreciate it.
Got you.
Yeah.